Okay, so the following video is going to focus on German word order, primarily for the junior leaving cert classes, but as used by anybody. It's a mechanical approach that helps students of varying abilities to acquire and better understand the structure of German word order. So we have an example here whereby there's just random kind of building blocks bottom in O'Mahony's, and I've labelled them with the marker for each section of the German word order. So S being subject, V being the verb, T being time, M being manner, P being place, and V2, I'll explain that in a moment. So they're labelled, I'll use this hand, maybe better to use, yeah. So in each part of the block, they're labelled with the appropriate letters, so again, students can't mix them up. So they correspond to the system of German word order. So if we jump straight over here to a sentence here, in my classroom, each pair of students will get one of these blocks that they would use for set activities, or else they would be up in a certain part of the room that they can go get if they need help, or they may need to slow down their thinking process in creating a German sentence. So I've created 20 or 30 cards, one for each student to use, and they're colour coordinated that correspond to the block here. So we're looking at Wir for S, Tanzen for V, am Wochenende for time, mit Freunden for M, in Berlin for P, and getanzt for V2. I'll explain that. Now, I didn't mention the colour because it's obvious before I even gave an explanation. You, as a viewer of this video, matched the colour and understood what I was doing even before explanation. So it helps for student learning, and helps students that may not want to ask questions out of fear or stigma, or may need to catch up. They can actually learn via their peers. So if you're using assessment for learning, or if you're using a traffic light system whereby you're linking students who have already got it, which signify that via green, or students who may not have got it by red, or kind of like amber or yellow, you can match them up. So again, just for more student-student interaction and for discussion auf Deutsch in German. So I use this as an example that if students are having difficulty writing out a sentence, if I have any corrections for homework, as part of meaningful feedback, instead of just explaining what they're doing wrong, I just give them feedback. They would take one of these blocks and they would mechanically switch around to think through the linguistic structure of German and apply it to the sentence. So for example, in this case, the student would know that they've read verb always stays in second position regardless of where you have it, but everything else can move around. So in this case, you'll take off this part first, and sorry, we're going to take off the V2 first, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So as I say, if we were to ask the student to put am Wochenende at the start of a sentence, they would just go to their cards. You can use this for colour cards, or else simply you can ask the student, if they have colour markers, to place a little dot corresponding to the colour or the identifier. So am Wochenende tanzen wir mit Freunden in Berlin. Okay, so again, simple exercise. Students can actually work through the mechanics of their language. Again, I'm going to focus on the white bit. The white bit basically is das Perfekt. That's the simple past tense in German. So as we know, to use the das Perfekt, we have to use either ich habe or ich bin. I find it useful to tell students ich habe or ich bin, because if you say haben und sein, they will just use haben und sein, and unless they actually know that they have to think through the different type of persons. So again, like this, wir tanzen am Wochenende mit Freunden. Okay, the past tense of tanzen is getanzt. we need to figure out, is it haben or sein? Okay, you're going to use haben. So what I've done is that in pink I have, each student would have the list of ich bin, du bist, er, sie, wir sind, ihr seid, and like for haben. So again, mechanically thinking through what they're going to be doing, they're just going to replace Tanzen with, and because it's wir, they're going to go to wir haben. Okay? Now, okay, I'm going to find wir haben where it's written legibly. So wir haben am Wochenende mit Freunden in Berlin getanzt. So that's where the V2 comes into place, because when you're using an auxiliary verb, the second verb always goes to the end of the clause. So again, I just find it works because students get to see a theoretical aspect of German that they find difficult, mechanically drawn out. They can follow colour coordinations and learn from their peers as opposed to the student. For students who are doing their junior cert or leaving cert letters, instead of going around just checking their work and circling and saying redo this exercise again and getting to C, you can just give them this block, and with the person beside them, slow their thinking process down and actually, again, mechanically form the sentence. So I find it a good activity as well. It feeds into good positive discipline because it provides structure to a lesson, and also whilst the students are in those, students are doing this activity, or likewise, it gives you a very valuable 20 seconds to prepare the next skill set that you're doing. So that's just it. So there you go.